And it begins. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Nicholas, and I'm your host for today as we talk about NHL Round 2 predictions. The NHL just finished up their first round, and what an exciting round it was. We saw a lot of early eliminations. Nobody got the sweep, but we also didn't see any games go to Game 7. This has been very interesting. It seems like the teams that started off hot continue to stay hot. Now, the question will be, can these teams keep it going into the second round? Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Starting off in the East, the first matchup will be the number one seed Philadelphia Flyers, who defeated the Montreal Canadiens in 6 games, facing off against the sixth seed, the New York Islanders, who defeated the Washington Capitals in 5 games. Now, the New York Islanders are the only team to come out of the play-in round to make it into the second round in the East. So let's go ahead and just talk briefly about what we saw in the first round. With the New York Islanders, I was very impressed. I was very impressed that this team was able to make the Washington Capitals look like chumps. Now, the Capitals, they did do well. They tried their best. But whenever it came down to it, the New York Islanders just put them away fast and easy. They almost got the sweep. But if it wasn't for Alex Ovechkin getting the Capitals their first win, they would have got the sweep. The second team is the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, this team had a whole lot of people backing them up, saying these are the Stanley Cup favorites going into the playoffs. And sure enough, they started off very hot. But what I noticed was throughout the series, they actually kind of started to slow down. Now, they did get back-to-back shutouts, but towards the end of the series, they almost let Montreal come in and steal it from them. Their last game ended 3-2, I believe. It was just, it's weird. The Philadelphia Flyers, they seem like they're starting to slow down just a little bit, and that may be dangerous going up against the New York Islanders. For this round, I'm sure a lot of people's playoff brackets are already broken. I did not see this matchup coming. I did think that the Islanders would make it into the second round, but I thought that Carolina would be facing Philly. But I am still going to pick the New York Islanders to beat the Philadelphia Flyers. They worried me towards the end. The New York Islanders, they kept playing solid. They beat their games in 5. Not that it really matters at this point, but they look like a better team overall. And Philadelphia, they kind of need to find that spark again and kind of have to remember that, hey, they're here to have fun and to win the cup. So I'm still going to go New York Islanders for the first game. The second game sees the Tampa Bay Lightning, who won their series against the Columbus Blue Jackets in 5 games, facing off against the number 4 seeded Boston Bruins, who won their series in 5 games against the Carolina Hurricanes. Okay, so if you watched my last predictions video, you heard me say that Carolina was playing to have fun. And a team that's playing to have fun is very difficult to beat. It sure felt like Boston really earned those wins because of how Carolina was playing. The Boston Bruins, they also lost their starting goaltender, Tuukka Rask, as he left. Now, reports are saying that originally it was just he wanted to be with his family. Then other reports are saying that he got a phone call and from one of his daughters having a medical emergency, so he left to go be with her. Either way, he's not in the bubble, and he's not coming back. Does that play a factor? I don't know. The goaltender for the Bruins was looking really good, so I would not be surprised if the Boston Bruins can play well against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now let's talk about Tampa for a moment. Tampa. Okay, so they looked good, yes. But if you are a hockey fan, you know what I'm about to say. That 5 overtime game against Columbus. It was their first game, and they essentially played 8 periods of hockey, almost 3 full games. They have to be physically tired from that series. Does that give the Boston Bruins a little bit of an edge? I'm going to say yes. I think that the Tampa Bay Lightning, they are going to put up a bit of a fight, but they are so beaten up right now that I think that the Boston Bruins are going to take this series. Next up in the West, we have the number 1 seeded Vegas Golden Knights, who won their series against the Chicago Blackhawks in 5 games, facing off against the number 5 seeded Vancouver Canucks, who won their series in 6 games over the St. Louis Blues. So let's go ahead and talk about this for a moment. Vancouver Canucks. Wow. They played fantastic. They did so well. They narrowly beat the Minnesota Wild. I shouldn't say narrowly. They won this series 3-1. Then they beat the defending Stanley Cup champions in 6 games, excuse me. And for a little while there, it just seemed like whoever was wearing the away jerseys were winning. So a little interesting. But what can we really say? St. Louis didn't win any of the qualifying rounds. Vancouver is the only team to make it to the second round from the playoff round in the West. They are playing with house money. I'm sure Vancouver fans are extremely happy that their team has made it this far, and rightfully so. This is a very impressive young team that are going to be able to compete next year for a serious shot at the championship. They just look great. And St. Louis, don't know what really happened there. They just kind of fell apart. They tried putting in Jake Allen after Jordan Bennington just wasn't doing it. It was kind of sad to watch. This was supposed to be a great team going in. They were definitely hurt by the pause. The number 1 seeded Vegas Golden Knights. The Chicago Blackhawks, their fan base was very vocal about how the Chicago Blackhawks were going to win and how they should have traded Corey Crawford instead of Robin Leonard. Listen, Chicago Blackhawks fans, you guys are very passionate about your team, but Vegas was all over you guys. It was, despite the one game, Vegas had control. And even in that one game, it was always looming that, hey, they can come back. Vegas is 8-1 in these playoffs. That should not be taken lightly. They've only lost the one time. Maybe their weakness is that they do start slow. But as the game progresses, they get harder and harder and harder. Your goaltender has to be standing on his head like Corey Crawford did in game number 4, which, by the way, what an outstanding performance by Corey Crawford. I can definitely see why he considered one of the better goaltenders, or at least was one of the better goaltenders. I was so impressed with him and his performance. But Vegas, they just were able to outplay Chicago, and hopefully next year Chicago can possibly try for another playoff run. How does Vancouver and Vegas match up? Well, Vancouver is playing well, but I need to give the edge to Vegas. Vancouver is playing with house money. Their fans are very happy, and they should be proud that they even got this far. Whereas Vegas, they are playing for a cup. Their offense is elite. Their defense could be a little bit better, a little tightened up, but they got two starting goaltenders that they can switch in whenever they want. It's hard not to pick Vegas. And once again, Vancouver, you guys should definitely be proud that you made it this far. I'm definitely happy for you guys. It's been a pleasure to watch you guys play. Next, and our final game, the number 2 seeded Colorado Avalanche, who won their series in 5 games against the Arizona Coyotes, will face off against the number 3 seeded Dallas Stars, who won their series in 6 games against the Calgary Flames. Going into that matchup, the Dallas Stars, I said, looked worse than the St. Louis Blues. Just even though they were able to get one over on St. Louis, I was like, this team is terrible. They don't stand a chance. Calgary was coming out of the play-in round looking amazing. They were on fire, pun attended, and I just totally ruined that because of my mouth. They looked terrible going into this series. And game 1 definitely showed as it went to the Calgary Flames. I was like, this is an open and shut. This is going to be the series that gets swept out of all of them. I did not see anything happening. But they proved me wrong. And I'm proud that they proved me wrong. I'm so happy that a team that basically got a bye from the play-in round proved me wrong. Had they lost to the Calgary Flames, Calgary would be playing the Vegas Golden Knights right now. But Dallas can show if they are a true contender against the Colorado Avalanche. Oh, the Colorado Avalanche. They bulldoze the Arizona Coyotes. That is not an understatement. Go look at the scores of the last 2 games. They're identical. Colorado won 7-1 in back-to-back games against the Coyotes. The Coyotes look great to begin with. Darcy Kemper, awesome. I love Darcy. Oh no. Colorado terrifies me. I'm terrified of who dares stand in their way because they want the cup and they want it bad. This is such a huge turnaround from a couple of years ago where they had the lowest points in the entire league to immediately being threats for the title. This is going to be a hard-fought series, but I don't – Dallas has impressed me because I really gave them no expectations going into the Calgary Flames series. Now I have a little bit more expectations, and I'm hoping that the Dallas Stars can make it a competitive series. But against Colorado, I think Colorado is just too hot. I think that if Dallas is going to beat Colorado, their goaltender has to be playing super well and be able to stop Nathan MacKinnon. This series might go to overtime, a couple of games, but I think the Colorado Avalanche are going to win this series and make it to the Western Conference Finals. So those are my picks. Just a quick recap in case you want. I am picking the New York Islanders over the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm picking the Boston Bruins over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Then in the West, I'm picking the Vegas Golden Knights over the Vancouver Canucks. And I'm also picking the Colorado Avalanche over the Dallas Stars. Let me just say really quick that this has been a great playoff so far. I very much enjoyed it. I was caught off guard by the games starting tomorrow, but hey, I'm with it. Let's get straight into it because we are ready for hockey. Oh, it is back and we are happy. And that is the final score. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. I've been your host, Nicholas, and stay around because we'll have more coming to you next time.